Welcome to a STONEDAPE-PRODUCTIONS. When people talk about Game of Thrones, they usually talk about dragons, the battles, the important deaths, the shock value. But underneath all that violence, the series is really about one thing, and that's power. Who has it? Who wants it? What people become once they get it. And the terrifying thing about the world of Westeros is that almost nobody who gains power survives it unchanged. Because Game of Thrones understands something deeply uncomfortable about human nature. Power doesn't just corrupt people. Power reveals them.
And my lady Sansa has begged mercy for her father. But they have the soft hearts of women. So long as I am your king, treason shall never go unpunished. Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
The Iron Throne itself is a perfect symbol of this. A chair built from thousands of melted swords, literally constructed from violence, pain, and conquest. Everybody who sits on it believes that they will be different, that they will be wiser, kinder, maybe more just. But almost every character who reaches for power in Game of Thrones eventually sacrifices the very thing that made them human. And that's because the real enemy in this show isn't death. It's the illusion that power can finally make people safe. The first truly important thing about this series is kill the hero. Ned Stark enters the story believing morality matters. Honor, truth, loyalty, and justice. He believes power should serve people. And that belief is what gets him killed. Because King's Landing operates under a completely different philosophy. In Westeros, power matters more than morality.
You think my life is some precious thing to me? That I would trade my honor for a few more years of war.
And once Ned enters that system, his value becomes weakness. He refuses to manipulate, refuses to lie, refuses to play the Game of Thrones. And it punishes him for it almost immediately.
I promise.
That moment changes the entire show because it teaches the audience something horrifying. Goodness alone does not protect people from power. In fact, in systems built around domination, goodness often gets destroyed first. If Ned Stark represents morality, Tywin Lannister represents power in its purest form. Cold, strategic, efficient. Tywin understands something most characters don't. Power isn't just force, it's perception. One of the greatest lines in the series comes from Tywin. Any man who must say, "I am the king," is no true king.
Any man who must say, "I am the king," is no true king.
And what makes that line brilliant is that Tywin himself almost never needs to raise his voice. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It shapes reality, quietly. People obey Tywin before he even speaks, not because they love him, but because they fear him.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
And nowhere is this clearer than the Red Wedding. Tywin wins the war not through honor, but through psychological domination. Betrayal becomes more effective than battle. Because in the series, power belongs to the people willing to abandon morality first. Maybe no character better represents that corruption than Cersei Lannister, because Cersei begins the story as someone trapped by power, controlled by men, controlled by tradition, controlled by her father. And at first, you almost sympathize with her. But once Cersei finally gains absolute control, something terrifying happens.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
Her fear transforms into cruelty, because power and paranoia feed each other. The more powerful she becomes, the more enemies she sees, and eventually, everyone becomes an enemy.
And which truth is that?
Knowledge is power.
Seize him. Cut his throat. Stop. Wait. I've changed my mind. Let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Close your eyes. Power is power.
The destruction of the Sept of Baelor is one of the most important moments in the entire series, because it represents the final stage of the corruption of power. Cersei no longer sees people as human beings, only obstacles, and once someone reaches that point, there are no moral boundaries left. But the true heart of this show is in Daenerys Targaryen, because Daenerys represents the most dangerous kind of power. Power that believes itself righteous. And that's what makes her transformation so tragic. Unlike Cersei, Daenerys genuinely wants to help people. She frees slaves, she breaks chains, she punishes cruelty, and slowly, both the audience and Daenerys herself begin believing she is different, a savior, a liberator, a good ruler. But the series quietly shows us the warning signs long before the ending, because Daenerys increasingly believes that because her cause is righteous, her violence is also justified. And that's one of the oldest dangers in human history. The belief that moral certainty excuses brutality. Almost every tyrant in history believed they were saving the world. That's what makes power so dangerous. Evil rarely sees itself as evil. It sees itself as necessary. And when Daenerys burned King's Landing, the tragedy isn't that she suddenly became evil. It's that power finally removed the last restraints holding her back. For seasons, people around her questioned her impulses, advised restraints, balanced her anger. But once those voices disappeared, all that remained is absolute control. Complete authority and absolute power.
Şapka regis anan, regis sandali. Şapka adrevistos ke anima hokigron jigiti mori. Şapka adrevish o kwenegin mori. Şapka regis anan, regis sandali. Jevehen nioti nochoti nasintas. Seas postaruti hybridas. Sir, daremi rosse istat. In vabatolvi o viho beondi davanti. In veni pasma tetos taor. In vabatolvi o viho vinonti reberat. Tolvrio pregela. En vintervelva dornot. En laniso valeniot. En gyro geerot. Avar. Valar. Rinjar. Tole grego vobotis. Grevi in noma pregelat.
Maybe that's the true meaning of the Iron Throne. It doesn't just symbolize power, it symbolizes obsession. The belief that control can solve human suffering. That if the right person finally sits on the throne, everything will be fixed. But the series rejects that fantasy completely. Because every ruler becomes consumed by the throne eventually. Robert Baratheon becomes empty. Joffrey becomes more of a monster. Cersei becomes paranoid. Daenerys becomes destructive. The throne destroys everyone differently, but it destroys them all the same. Which is why Jon Snow matters so much. Jon is one of the only characters who never truly desires power. And maybe that's why people trust him. Because unlike almost everyone else, Jon sees leadership as a responsibility, not identity. But Games of Thrones also understands something painful. That people most fit to lead are often the people least interested in power. And the people most desperate for it are often the least capable of handling it. In the end, the Iron Throne melts, and that moment means everything. Because the throne was never just a chair, it was humanity's oldest illusion. The belief that power can finally give people control over chaos, over fear, over death. But Games of Thrones spends 8 seasons showing us the truth. The more power people gain, the more terrified they become of losing it. And fear turns rulers into tyrants, again and again and again.
Power is a curious thing, my lord. Are you fond of riddles?
Why? Am I about to hear one?
3 great men sit in a room, a king, a priest, and a rich man. Between them stands a common sellsword. Each great man bids the sellsword kill the other 2. Who lives, who dies?
Depends on the sellsword.
Does it? He has neither crown nor gold, nor favor with the gods.
He has a sword, the power of life and death.
But if it's swordsmen who rule, why do we pretend kings hold all the power? When Ned Stark lost his head, who was truly responsible? Joffrey, the executioner, or something else?
I've decided I don't like riddles.
Power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall.
Maybe that's why nobody truly wins the Game of Thrones. Because the game itself is a problem. And maybe the real tragedy of the series is that people who wanted power the least understood it the most. I believe this show is a direct reflection of our modern society. 124 years ago, a man died by the name of John Emmerich Edward Dalberg Acton. He was a former member of Parliament for the United Kingdom. He was an English Catholic historian, a liberal politician, and author, a strong advocate for individual liberty. He's best known for his observations on the dangers of concentrated authority. He coined the phrase, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." That phrase, that quote, has been retold millions of times for over 124 years, ringing more true as time flies by. Men wiser than us have spoken about the dangers of consolidated power, of concentrated authority, and yet, hundreds of years later, in 2026, in our modern era, humanity has yet to learn their lesson. And it's never the case that's for good. It's always the opposite. Humanity has spent almost all of history chasing it. Kings built empires for it. Corporations destroyed lives for it. Politicians lied for it. Religions have split over it. And the strange thing is, the joke is on all of us. Because we've all had a hand to play at this illusion of power. Letting a shitty boss scream at you. Letting people run over you. Letting people do things you know they shouldn't, but are too afraid to speak up. We've all had a hand at this game. At this game of thrones.